I just checking to make sure everything's connected.
Hello,
Okay.
we are live. Welcome to TOWTalk with Denise and Neil. Welcome aboard, everybody. Please make sure you say hi and you identify yourselves, and make sure you also like and hit the bell so you get notified when we come online or when we post new videos. And make sure you share with your friends, and we want you to hit that algorithm. So make sure that you comment and seven words or more. So please do all that stuff. And welcome to Tao Talk. So we got another hopefully fun-filled night for you guys. and
Yeah. So
make
let
sure
me see.
and please feel free to participate. We love the comments.
Yeah, that's what makes it fun. So welcome. So people start and get connected. So what is going on in the town? There was some. I saw some a hullabaloo going on in the town regarding. I don't know. It's always regarding money and stupid shit that they did. So what's going
Oh,
on?
like there's so much stuff going on. We have so we are in the political season, right? I mean, I think every municipality is dealing with the political season. Okay? And you look at other countries. Other countries, believe it or not, it's like 60 days. Their election cycle's like 60 days. That's it. Okay? They don't drag this shit out. And we seem to drag this shit out for fucking years. Like, people are already announcing to run for president like 3 years from now. Like it's absolutely insane. And here in the town of Waukegan and all the neighboring municipalities, it's just getting worse and worse, right? Like, I mean, you run on a 2-year cycle, okay, and your signs are out for a full year, which means you only get 1 year reprieve,
Yeah.
and the signs are going out earlier and earlier. Like this year the
Yeah, they're out
signs
there
started
now.
going out in like March. We started seeing signs. And now and it just and there are more and more signs, and like we are in June. We have like 5 months till the election.
Can we have the
Okay?
summer?
Like why the one thing I can never understand, and I got yelled at a lot during my campaign because people wanted my signs out because George's signs had already been out for like 4 months already, right? Like, he started like in April getting his signs out. My signs didn't go up until like September, because my honest belief is, right, like 60 days is more than enough time, right, for your signs to be out, right? Like, for you to get some name recognition and all that kind of stuff, people to contact you, all that kind of stuff. Anything more than the 60 days. Like, I mean, what is your goal? Like,
the
is your goal just to pepper the entire, like, name recognition, name
that's
recognition, name
that's it.
recognition? You know,
Eventually you become the person that littered the name of the person that littered the town with fucking signs.
and the funniest part is that when people say, "Oh, the town is a mess," or "The town is dirty," right? It really is the signs, right? That's what
Yeah.
they're talking about, because you're not seeing green grass. All you're seeing are signs
Yeah.
everywhere. And we have some of the strongest sign laws, in Orange County, and nobody adheres to them. Nobody wants to. Everything, the other side's like free speech. Nobody's preventing you from putting up signs, and nobody's preventing free speech, right? What we're asking for is a little decorum.
Yeah.
Right?
Some
Something the
consideration.
something the other side just doesn't have and has never shown, right? They've never shown decorum. Okay. And this is very like Trump-esque, right? Just put your name on everything, get your name out there. All that matters is your name.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, and it's very, very frustrating to see. It's very frustrating to deal with. It's very frustrating. Like, I'm not even a councilman anymore, and I'm still getting calls.
The,
I still get calls.
really? That's
Yeah,
interesting. What are they?
people
They're asking if you're running?
asking me. No, they asked me for help. Like, can you do something about this? And I'm like, I'm not your councilman anymore. I'm not in government anymore. I can't help it. You know, and it's just one of those things. Like, I understand we have an early, nobody here in town of Waco is running in a primary. Right? So
Yeah.
there's no reason to have your signs out
Yeah, we've already got
like in
our
April.
candidates.
Right? Like, by the time September rolls around, nobody's going to give a shit. And people are just going to be annoyed. And it's just one of those things. And I think it's just very frustrating. It's very, whatever.
Yeah,
Whatever
yeah.
at this point, you know.
So, well, so moving on here, you brought up before we started the stream, you brought up a chart, and I only got part of this conversation. Could you kind of explain what is going on there, and what and then just we'll
So
display that for everyone.
we finally got a look at what George and the boys have been hiding this entire time. Okay, a little
Ooh,
bit. We got a
juicy, juicy,
glimpse
juicy,
of it.
juicy.
We got a glimpse of it. Okay, of what they were hiding. Right? Their bluster about sitting up there on the dais saying, "Oh, this is a great budget." We had no actual numbers. Let's keep in mind, there were no actual numbers. They provided us no information about the 3 years that George did his budgets and he was in office. We got no information on budgets versus actuals. So, what I did was, all right, I took the adopted budget that was posted online, and I took some of the more expensive items, okay, that we had out of that budget. And I just wanted to do a quick comparison, right? Were we under budget? Were we over budget? Were we hitting target? And these should have been easy numbers to get, right? So let me just share with the public, right, what the spreadsheet looks like. Okay,
Okay,
this
so
is
just
what
kind
the
of.
spreadsheet looks like. Okay, now granted, this isn't your AI slop or anything like that. This is very accounting oriented. Okay, so I
Yeah.
understand that, but look at all the red. Okay, so what you have on the right hand side here. Okay, I don't know if you can see it. All right, hold on, I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
there's a lot of numbers here. So I don't know if people can see my mouse on the screen. So why don't we look at the years? So looking at which year?
All right, so you can see my mouse on the screen. Good.
Yes.
All right. So if you look, here's the 2025 budget, adopted budget. Okay. This is the 2025 actual numbers. Okay. The supervisor's budget line. All right. Let's look at that first. The supervisor's budget. Okay. He budgeted $539,000, $539,000, right? His actual came in at 549,000.
So he's 10
$10,000
grand.
over budget, right?
Wow.
Just for his line. This is his. He's supposed to be the budget officer. He's supposed to be the one that do the budget, and he even went over budget on his line. What does that tell you? What does that tell you from this board? Right, not this board, the previous board that talked about being fiscally responsible when the supervisor couldn't adhere to his own budget. All right, not to
What?
mention that if you look at the 2021 actual, right, and budget, right, the actual amount spent for the same line, the supervisor's line, was $354,915. Okay, the supervisor budgeted in 2025 $539,000. That represents a 50% increase, right? Just in the supervisor's line. What, are you fucking kidding me?
Oh,
What did
from
they
from from
from
2023.
2021 to 2025? They increased the budget 50% just for the supervisor. Why?
Wow.
What are they do? What are they spending money on in the supervisor's office?
Definitely not paving roads.
Why was that necessary? Why was it necessary? Right? It wasn't just to give George a raise, but that's what they did. All right. We can go to the next line. Look at the insurance line. Right.
Yeah, the insurance is big.
The insurance line, okay, over budget. How do you budget so badly? How do you budget $200,000 under budget just in your insurance? Like, your insurance numbers, yeah, I get they come out late, but I get my insurance numbers right around the time my budget is approved. Right? My budget doesn't get approved by the board until I get that insurance number. Okay? And you're telling me the guys didn't tell you, the insurance guys, Marshall and Sterling didn't say, "Hey, listen, it's going to be more expensive." I mean, they should be working with you, but they were over budget, $200,000 right there in insurance in 2025.
Yeah. Yeah, and I see that, like the previous year, they budgeted 461 and it turned out to be 468, so it was only a few $1,000s, but this is a $200,000 difference. That's huge.
But still, they were over budget in three out of the 4 years. They were over budget. Okay,
they were meaning they were spending more than they had.
They weren't budgeting correctly. This is what I mean about not budgeting. Your police department, okay? This kills me, okay? You look at Frank, they were under budget, right? 2021, they were under budget. Frank's budget, remember, it was Frank's budget in 2022, right? Oh, look at that. Police came in under budget. All of a sudden, look at this. Spending is just way out of control.
Wow.
Right? They went up over $1 million, almost $1 million, and then $2 million, right? Like they went from
just a couple of years,
$7 million to $9 million in 2 years.
What the fuck?
Right? That's almost $1.5 million more in spending on our police department, right? In 2 years.
Yes, Kristen.
Within 2 years, right? What is going on here? Okay. Not only that, right? You are way over budget. Who was managing? My question is who was managing the budget? Okay. This is the problem. Either you budgeted incorrectly or nobody was managing it. Either or, it's pretty freaking clear, right? You got your retirement. Okay, here's the funny thing. You get retirement numbers. Okay? You get your retirement numbers early in the year. They send them to you probably in the summertime. They say, this is about what you're going to owe. So you receive a way advance notice on this. Okay? Right? In 2 out of the 4 years, right, they were over budget. 2 out of the 4 years, they were over budget. Okay? Right? Police retirement, same thing, right? 2 out of the 4 years, over budget, including in 2024, where there were a few $100,000 over budget. Okay?
Marty is asking, wasn't Larry managing that?
No.
I think he does. We don't even know what he did, what his job was. We know that he handled the campaign for Serrano and is now handling the campaign for Jill. That's it.
So here's the best part, right? So they added people to the payroll. We know that. They did not understand or account for the benefits or taxes, right? Like they didn't account for that. Look at this. Payroll taxes are a function, okay, of the number of employees you have, of your payroll. It's it. It's just a function of your payroll. Over budget 3 years in a row. 3 years in a row. They couldn't figure out what the payroll taxes were. Right?
Oh my God.
Share of the payroll taxes were of their own employees. Right? That's great. They couldn't even figure out what the payroll taxes. Right?
And you wonder why Frank was out of money at the beginning of the year.
Right. Healthcare, okay? Healthcare, you can clearly see in 2023, they got hammered by healthcare, okay? Right? They somehow fixed it, right, moving forward. But man, like you're almost talking $900,000. You're talking $900,000 in healthcare costs, right? For 1 year, for that 1 year that they were over budget, right? You know, and then you have your highway fund, which they were also over budget, right? So again, I go to right, and then you have to look down here, and then you have the appropriated fund balance. So keep in mind, right, the budget that Frank did and gave to George had no fund balance in it. Didn't spend any fund balance. It was a balanced budget. And then in 2023, what did George do? Right? $2.1 million fund balance spend. He decided to spend $2.1 million in fund balance. Then in 2024, he spent $1.5 million in fund balance. Right? And then in 2025, it's 2.4. Okay? And then you add into all these overages there, and there's all your cash.
And that's
Gets
where
you
it
to all
all
your
went.
cash. You know, like they just didn't manage the money. They didn't care. And my question is to everybody out there, okay, when you're talking about this full-time, part-time bullshit, when somebody's trying to sell you a bag of goods, right, about being full-time, this is what we're talking about. We need somebody who's going to manage the finances of this town. All right? Because this is a goddamn disaster. And I knew it was going to be a disaster. I had talked about it being a disaster, and everybody was like, prove it. Here you go, people. Prove.
There it is.
Okay? There it is. But no. Everybody, prove it. Here you go. Black and white and red, apparently.
Lots of red. Lots and lots of red.
It kills me though. It kills. I mean, and you can see like the increases. They didn't understand every time you add an employee, it's $200,000. You have to account for the benefits. You have to account for the taxes. You have to account for the payroll tax. Like you have to account for everything. And they didn't do that. They didn't care. And then they didn't watch the budget afterwards. And when you hire a town board, right? When you are sitting there going to voting in the polls, right? This is what you should care about. Everybody talks about tax. Nobody wants to pay taxes. Everybody keeps talking about taxes. Everybody keeps talking about waste, fraud, and abuse. This is abuse.
Serious abuse.
This is what we mean by abuse. And then all of a sudden, people are like, "Oh no, we don't want to talk about that anymore. Let's move on." No, this is what we need to be talking about. We need to be talking about it at the local level. We need to be talking about it at the state level and the federal level. We just spent $13 million on the reflecting pool that they're now going to have to put up a fence for. They're going to drain the pool and they have to redo. Understand, this is money coming out of your pocket, people. Otherwise, I don't want to hear you complain about taxes anymore. Stop complaining. Open your pocketbook and give it to Trump already. Just be done.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right? Because this is what's happening. All our money is being funneled, right, for stupid shit. All like you look at this, what I just showed you, it was going, the supervisors, 50% increase in 3 years. 50% increase in 3 years. Come on, people. That's a joke. That is a fucking joke. Okay? And then you go into what's happening at the state and the federal level. Same thing. Where's your money going? At the state level, it goes to consultants, right? For bullshit. Okay? At the federal level, you can see it's going to rich people. Tax cuts for the Epstein billionaires.
Yeah.
Like enough's enough, people. Like, grow up. I'm sorry. It's time for people to fucking grow up. It's time for people to fucking grow up and understand, like it's not politics. They were nice guys. I don't want to hear it. P.T. Barnum was a nice guy.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's exactly the point here. So for those that might be just joining us, what Neil just did is he demonstrated to everybody here that's watching and to anybody who catches this later. There's here in the town of Wallkill, we've had a constant issue with the finances not adding up. Well, now that we have competent leadership in the town board and who are going through these books, we got a hold of some numbers, and it demonstrates how absolutely incompetent the previous board was for the last 4 years, and now we've got these huge gaps in the budget. We have no fund balance. It lost us the bond rating. It made it easy because it was so poorly managed. We ended up getting robbed of $400,000, but by a state auditor, if you can believe that. So we've got these problems, and so you know the other side, their candidate, her only her only platform that she's running on is that I'm going to be full time. Well, the last supervisor before Frank was full time, and he put us in this problem with this money, and caused mismanaged the funds and lost us the bond rating. And so now we're trying to clean this up. And it didn't do audits for like the last 3 years that he was supposed to do them. And so now the new supervisor, that's Frank Dendanto, is having to do this, catch up on all the shit that Serrano didn't do and his team didn't do. So that's where we are. So for those that are watching, that's what we're pointing to, because it just points to the fact that corruption and mismanagement and incompetence can happen at every level of government, but most people don't look in their own backyards. And what's happening in our town should really be a red flag for everyone in any local town, in any municipality who isn't paying attention, because I guarantee you there's shit going on in your town too, because nobody looks there. Am I right?
It's also the idea of, right, listening to experts, listening to people who know what the hell they're talking about, right? It's so frustrating, right? Like we had the board that was here, right? Mark Coyne, Eric Johnson, George Serrano, and Eric Valentin. They had a CPA on the board and refused to listen to them. They refused to listen to their auditor,
That guy.
O'Connor Davies. They
That
refused to listen to RBT, right? Also CPAs. They refused to listen to Nugent Hausler CPAs, all of which were giving the same recommendations, right? And they refused to listen. They refused to implement any of them. They didn't understand. Okay.
Yes.
And I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry that some people are offended by smart people in a room. I'm sorry that some people don't want, that they want the dumb person in charge like Donald Trump. Okay. Because Trump didn't listen to experts either. Okay. Like, I'm sorry, you fill a pool up, a shallow pool
yeah. Let's move on to that.
with water from the Potomac that has algae in it, and all of a sudden you get an algae bloom. Like, who would have fucking predicted that? You drive your car on top of it, right? And it tears a hole in it, and then all of a sudden you want to blame somebody else when it was all you're doing. And everybody has to scramble around. Oh my God, we have to, he said this, so now all of a sudden we have to make that seem true. Like, people, use your fucking brains. I'm sorry. Use your brains. These people had no idea what they were doing with the finances of the town, just like Donald Trump had no idea, right, how to fix the pool, because he doesn't, the reflecting pool, because he doesn't understand that science. That's it. That's what it comes down to, and he refuses to listen to experts who are smarter than him. Okay?
Right.
Stop
Yes.
the nonsense already. All right? This is my taxes. So unless you, whoever you are, want to go and pay my tax bill, okay? All right? I'm done. I'm done. I'm going to treat you like you're treating me. Okay? You want to impact my pocketbook? Fine. I'm coming after your pocketbook.
There we go. Oh my God, We off the soapbox? No, I'm just kidding. No, this is serious stuff, folks.
It is.
Serious. I'm curious. I'm seeing now. I want to read some of these chats that we got because we're getting a lot of comments here. And for some reason, my chat is jumping at the very bottom. I don't know if you've been following, but let's see. Mary commented, "Yep, though he." Let's see. Yep, though he was full time supervisor, he was not running the town properly. And this is abuse. How convenient to just brush this off unconscionable. Yeah, because they didn't want to get caught. And this is really points to the reason for that AI slot page and how aggressive they're being, because the closer we get to finding, the closer Frank gets to digging into these numbers and really seeing the broad picture of what has happened financially. I mean, $11 million of fund balance disappeared in 4 years. And here, what Neil just showed you is a good sample of why that's happened. They were spending money, hand over fist, figured the fund balance would last forever. And so this is a reason why we're talking about this today and calling it to the town's attention.
And I have one other thing for you. Okay? I have one other
Okay.
thing for you. All right? To stay on my soapbox a little bit and to anger some of those people out there, including yourself, who is also in the water district. Okay? So I'm going to bring this up because it's really fucking pissing me off. Okay? So back in 2022, everybody might remember that they put a moratorium on the Shawangunk kill, right? The people in
Okay.
2 and 3 didn't give a shit about a moratorium on the Shawangunk kill. That was strictly done for those people, right, in wards 1 and 4, right, who wanted the moratorium on the Shawangunk kill. Okay?
Okay.
Right? They wanted that moratorium. In order to make the moratorium, right, seem like somewhat official, right? The town claimed that they were going to do a study of the water, right? And the wildlife and all this other kind of stuff, right? So they were going to do this study. And for 2 years while I was on the board, I said, you need to do the study. You can't just have the moratorium and not do the study. Okay? So in 2023, they voted to do this study, right? And they've been doing the study now for the last 3 years. Okay? This study on the Shawangunk kill that was related to the master plan review, okay, and has nothing to do with us here in town water, right? Town water. This was for the master plan. This was for the Shawangunk kill. This was for the people out there, right? Spent $75,000, right, to do this study. $75,000, and who got charged for it?
Us.
Those of us in the water district. Right? So the people who aren't in the water district out in wards 1 and 4 who wanted this moratorium, who wanted the study, right, don't have to pay a goddamn dime for it.
Wow.
Thank you, George.
Wow.
So we are stuck with the bill in the water district, right? So those of us in the water districts, wards 2 and 3, who didn't give a shit about the fucking moratorium, okay, right, have to pay for the study for their moratorium.
Wow.
$75,000 charged to us.
Nice. So that should give you an idea. Just want to go through some of these chats here. Let's see.
Just so you know, I have notified the current town supervisor of the error in the hopes that he can make a correction and charge the general fund so that every taxpayer is paying for it and not just those of us in the water district.
Yeah.
Okay. Who shouldn't have been charged in the first place for this, right? But being on that board, I've seen a lot of things where Valentin and George would say, oh, charge the water districts. Just because the water districts have money, right? That's our money. That's our money that you're stealing so that you could benefit other taxpayers.
Yes, it's very messed up. So I want to just go through some of these chats. Marty 1692 says he hired his friend who happens to be a poor guy with the company name Green. Oh, okay, that's going back to the the reflecting pool. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
the guy Greenwater is the name of the company. You can't make this stuff up, right? The
right.
guy that so it's
Listen, the guy
pretty.
who there were two guys that were hired for the reflecting pool, right? And both are claiming that what they did was is working exactly the way they intended. And the one guy who did the paint, right, said it was Trump driving the car. It was the motorcade and that tore the thing up, but Trump won't admit it. Trump won't take any responsibility for it.
That's his strategy, right? Never
Just
never
like
admit never
just
admit
like
a
right.
mistake.
Just like George never admitted that he did anything wrong, just like Valentin had ever admitted, just like all of them, they never admit that they do anything wrong. They take no personal responsibility whatsoever.
Well, so they're really, what they're doing is just mimicking that because it's working for Trump. It ain't working for you guys. Sorry, George. Sorry, Valentin. Not working. So let's see. So Knitter02 pointed out that they also refused to pay for a forensic audit when Frank proposed one. Must be going back to Frank's
Yeah, this was
first
the
term.
Frank's first term. Yeah, this was back in 2020.
Well, again, they didn't want to do things that would have you dig into those finances to see what's going on. That's one of the reasons why we really need to continue this dig, because I feel like there's going to be more bombshells that are going to come out, because they're so aggressive and they're so desperate to really discredit Frank in every way possible. And so it's in a lot of ways, it's in a lot of personal ways they're attacking him. And I feel like it's because he's digging. He's digging and he's going to find something. And I think what he finds is going to be eye opening. And
I
this
think
was eye opening right here.
I think we found stuff. Like can we all like agree that plenty of stuff was found? Like this idea that nothing was found. It was found. We found a ton of shit. We know that what I said back in the day, that the town had no controls, the town had no internal controls. Let's
But
be real, right? A guy stole
well,
$405,000. There were no controls. It's
well
clear that there were no controls.
let me clarify. They didn't want the controls. Is with the
Right,
controls that meant there would be accountability. No controls means no accountability.
right,
And
and
that's
as I
what's
said,
happening here.
right, and you know, you look at everything that I said back in the day when I was on the board. It is all true. It has all come true. Okay, it was 100% true then. It's 100% true, and it was 100% true when these assholes left office. Right. So
Neil is
I really
vindicated.
I really don't want to hear it anymore. Oh, blah blah blah. No, it was true back then. It's true now. Okay, right? There were no controls, and these guys like had no idea what they were doing with the numbers. Just none. No, there were no controls in place. They didn't do any reviews. You can clearly see with all the red, there were no controls. If there were controls in place, they would know and they would have said, no, we're not going to add that, or you can't spend that because you don't have the money. Right? Like, I mean, I remember people used to come to Frank all the time and say, hey, can we do this? No, we don't have the money. This is where we are in the budget. Frank manages the budget, right? Because he's the supervisor and that's his job. Okay. Right. Do we want somebody to come in again and have this nonsense of non-management? All right. So she's there full time. It doesn't mean that she's going to manage because George didn't manage. We're going to go back to this nonsense again.
I think we need to be clear of what it will define for us. What does that full time mean? What are you going to be doing? Sitting? I don't want a warm butt in the warming a chair in the office and saying, "Look, I'm full time. I ain't doing shit, but I'm full time. I'll shake hands. I'll talk to people." and you'll just love me for that. Meanwhile, nothing gets done, and we end up sinking this town further and further. Look at our roads. I was driving on the roads today because I'm on the road all day with what I do in my full time career, and the roads are just horrid. Tower Drive is like cracked all the way down the road, just cracked. And there was at the intersection of I guess it's Amy Lane and Ross Lane. You see where those cones are, and they must have done some work there. They left a freaking hole, like a chunk of hole was missing. So they brought somebody in to put the blacktop in, and because it was such a bad hole, the blacktop sunk all the way through. And now it has to be done again, and that's because these roads weren't maintained on a regular basis as they should have, because they were busy spending the fucking fund balance, our money, doing, I don't know, whatever.
Well, they were buying LED signs, and everything was geared towards, right, parties, right? You go through the expenses and you realize, like, there was unlimited funds for parties, right? For community day, for this, for that. They went out and spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on parties, and you could clearly see there was nobody watching the budget and nobody like home when it came to managing the activities of this business, right? If you ran your business like this in the red,
Right.
You would not have a business for very long.
Okay? Of course not.
Anybody.
Of course not.
Anybody. And now Frank is taking this seriously. Okay? He's taking the town's finances seriously, and it would be nice, right, if the Republicans would take the finances seriously. Okay? It really would be nice, because they talk about being fiscally conservative, but yet all they want to do is throw parties. That's it. We're seeing it at the federal level all the way down to the local level. What do you see? You see the Frank's opponent out there and talking about being full-time. In other words, going to every opening, right? Doing more community stuff. That's what you're hearing. You're hearing going back to throwing the parties, spending your money on parties, right? The gladiators are here. Let's erect. Why don't we just erect a town hall, right? One of those world, championship fighting matches, right? At town hall. Might as well do that, at this point in time.
Oh yeah, that's what we need. That's what we need, because that was, it's interesting that you bring that up, because they were showing some after photos after they got rid of that whole cage match thing and everything that was left behind, and the grass is absolutely, there's no grass left. It's just a big pile of dirt now. A beautiful lawn. There was a beautiful fountain there. It was just the White House lawn was just beautiful and tasteful, and now it's trashed. So, much like what's happening to our town.
So Nidoro, they encouraged people to run, telling them that all they needed to do was show up. Yes, I can confirm that. They tell everybody, oh, don't worry about it. There's not actually a job here. You just go in and collect a paycheck. That's how they get you, right? That's what they tell everybody. And that's exactly why we lost the bond rating, because you had a lot of non-serious people, right, who didn't understand what they were doing. Yes. Right. Yeah, we could have built that ballroom. We could have. Yeah.
Jesus, no, we don't need a ballroom. We need a ballroom. We need a ballroom.
I think the town of Waco needs a ballroom. We should buy a ballroom. Maybe that would shut them up. I mean, like, it's insane with the amount of money that these fucking people spent.
They could have built a ballroom. Marty said that. Yeah, could have built a ballroom. Yeah, we don't want that. So yes, it did tear up the lawn. The lawn is absolutely disgusting. How bad it looks. But yeah, so that's what's going on. So what else is going on? I want to move on to some well, first of all, folks, I don't know if you've been following. We've announced a few times that Neil and I have a new channel on YouTube and also on Facebook. It's called The Daily Gripe, and you can search for it on YouTube. It's at the Daily Gripe Podcast. And on Facebook, it's the.daily.gripe. So there's like a period in between because somebody else had that. But we've got some content there. And I also notified, put a message out there that we were going to be live here today on this on the TOWTalk podcast, just to introduce people seeing us live. But we're thinking about doing some live streams with the Daily Gripe. So if you haven't already done so, please look that up. Please follow us and share it with your friends. We want to move more of our. Oh goodness! We see Neil's green screen in the background.
Yeah, like seriously, I needed, like it was like half my head. I needed to fix that. I need more light in my room.
Need more light room. Yes.
Sorry
Yes.
about that,
We.
people.
If you notice, I'm not using a digital background anymore because it's just too much of a drag on my system. So we're gonna go with this pretty picture in the back there. But anyway, we wanted to invite you guys. Make sure you follow us there as well. We're going to probably set up a live stream and do it there. The Daily Gripe is also, I'm on TikTok. I've got it set up on TikTok, X, Facebook. Probably going to do a Twitch, get us up, set up in Twitch and all the other socials to get us going there. So we can just sort of move our more nationwide talk when we're being critical of federal national politics here, just to move that there. But for today, we're doing everything. So addressed we addressed that freaking swamp. There have been some, by the way, there have been some awesome AI slop videos regarding the pool, which is absolutely hysterical. I invite you to go look around. There was one that was hysterical. It had Epstein coming up from the swamp as the swamp thing. It was really funny. That was the one with they were trying to make it look like a scene out of Forrest Gump. When Jenny's running into the reflecting pool, only the reflecting pool is all slime. It was really
I'm
great.
I like to be honest with you, I like some of it is amusing, but I find none of this funny. There are people being arrested for
That's we got to
going
talk about.
going to the like you think about it, right? You go down to DC. Like the reflecting pool is supposed to be an attraction where you look in the pool, right? And you can see your reflection. It's supposed to be the reflection, right? And now they want to keep everybody away from the pool. Like now if you go near the pool, if you touch the pool, if you like whatever, they arrest you. Like be
Well,
all
they're looking for
because
scapegoats. They're looking for
no,
scapegoats.
what it is you have a deranged man in the White House who says something, okay?
100%.
A lie, whatever the fuck it is, okay? And then everybody in government now has to make what he said a reality in some form, fashion, or another, right? That is not justice. That is not a legal system I want to be a part of, right? If you're telling me that the legal system now is that the deranged, like, then what's to prevent your town supervisor or the governor from just making random statements saying, oh, go out and arrest everybody who's done this, and then the state police start going out and arresting you.
Well,
Like,
here's my
enough's enough of this shit. These people are not kings. Like, enough. I've dealt with this with George Serrano. We've dealt with this with governors. We've dealt with this with the president. Enough's fucking enough.
Well, that's gonna take. It's the reason why we always encourage people to. First of all, today, how many people got out there and voted in the primaries today? For our area here, I think the only one was comptroller. So there was 3 candidates for comptroller. So if you got in and voted, that's it. You don't have to tell us how you voted, but did you get out there and vote for that primary? Right? DeNapoli, Goyle, and Warshaw.
Warshaw. Yep.
Warshaw. I liked Warshaw. I like Goyle too. But I think didn't Warshaw have more of a financial background? I feel like he He did.
Can't vote in a primary, so you're talking to the wrong person.
That's true. That's true. That's true. That's right. Neil is Neil is an independent. So
That's
yeah,
correct.
which I think is that's something. Well, first of all, let me finish up with the pool and my opinion on that. Yes, they are arresting people, and what's disturbing to me is the ones that are detaining these people, our National Guard, which is they are not this is not their job. This is not their job. This violates posse comitatus. They are stopping people. Sure, they're walking them over to the police, but ultimately they're detaining these people, and this is not their job. Their job is to protect these people, really. And they're being stopped for touching the water. Right? A woman, a video is circulating where a woman just reached down into the pool, probably to grab a piece of the freaking bottom that's coming
No,
up.
she just wanted to touch the pool.
Just touch the pool, and she was swarmed by National Guard and detained. And of course, the swarming part, not the fact that all she did was touch the water, that gets put on Fox News. Fox News blows it up and says, see, it's Antifa or whatever the hell doing this. And in the end, this case will probably be thrown out. Janine Pirro doesn't have a leg to stand on, and she should just be disbarred. She's just horrid. But the fact is that the message gets out there. This is the power of propaganda. By the time that case gets to court and it gets dismissed or whatever, it'll be a month, 2 months, 3 months down the road, and everybody's kind of forgotten about it, and they've moved on to something else. And so the fact that that case gets dismissed and those people, they had their lives fucked it with, and they've had to lay out money to defend themselves, but that doesn't get any attention whatsoever. And that is where we're living with propaganda. That's why it's so, so important to really get your information from multiple sources. Um, because,
Or how about this? Use your brain. Use your brain,
yeah,
right?
you're asking a lot from a lot of people.
You clearly see that person, But here's the thing. I know we're talking about the reflecting pool, and we've talked a lot about negative stuff. I want to talk about something positive before
Good.
we end. All right. FIFA World Cup, which I'm not a World Cup fan. Okay, so I'll admit that up front, and I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate for that, right? But I got to tell you, the people coming over, the tourists who are coming over, the Norwegians, the Scots, right? The British, right? Like the Koreans, right? I mean, I am just absolutely amazed at all of them, and just the amount of fun that they bring back into the United States. The one thing I gotta say, the Scots up in Boston were
Drink all the
fantastic.
beer.
Right? They drank all the beer, right? They partied in the street, they put cones on the statues, right? Like they brought fun back to America, right? Like, I mean, you really think about it, there are laws governing every fucking thing that we do, right? You step one pinky out of line, and there's a police officer there to arrest you, okay? Like these guys brought fun back. They went down the Scots went down to Florida, right? And they tried to cone one of their statues, right? And the police stopped them. The police were like, "No, you can't do that." One of the citizens said, "How would you like it if we went to your country and coned your statues?" And the guy like turned to him and goes, "All our statues have cones on them already, right?" Like that's a thing. Like, where is the fun in the United States now? That's the question
God.
I got to ask, right? Because these politicians who keep talking about America and this, that, and the other thing, and throwing our money away and pissing money away, where's the fun? And I'm not talking about a community day. I'm not talking about, where is the actual fun?
Well, when you're attacking the First Amendment, it's kind of hard, right? Because some of that we've lost. They're going after comedians. That's always fun, right? Watching late night comedy, and they're trying to silence that.
But
But
they're
I
going
think,
after all the fun. All the fun.
well,
Everything that makes us
it's
Americans and makes us, right, innovative, everything that we are, they are taking away from us bit by bit. And people don't even realize what's going on. And I'm telling you, the Scots that came here, the Norwegians that came here, the British that came here, all these other countries are showing us there's fun to be
what we
had.
used to be, what we
What we
used to
used to
be.
be. They're showing you what we used to be, right? And why can't we be that again? Why can't we
It's good.
be that again? Why do we need a law for every little thing? You know, you have one thing happen to one person that and it's and you know that the probability of that thing happening again is almost negligible. Yet they want to make a law. Yet now we need another law. Okay? That's how Lincoln Riley ended up occurring, right? And now all of a sudden, all our rights are fucked. Now we don't have due process anymore.
Well, that was a carefully crafted law to do that, to in fact attack due process and the Fourth Amendment. Like
But every
these,
law is like that, though. Now
yeah.
every law is that they're implementing is like that, right? They pick one person, they carefully craft the law, they attach a person's name to it that everybody can feel sorry for, and then you're an asshole for not voting for it. Okay? And I'm sorry, you're taking the fun out of the United States. You're really just taking the fun out of the United States by making these laws. And you're really taking away our rights
Well,
and our
that's the goal.
freedoms.
That's the
Right.
goal. That they want to do. You know, you've got multiple factions going on in there. You have the tech bros. We like to call them technogarchs here, but you can call them whatever you want, the tech bros. And then, of course, you have the far right religious groups that want to turn the country into a religious autocracy. And then you got Trump, who I don't think he gives a shit either way, just as long as he gets to be at the top and collect all the money and go away. You know, right off. He's putting it all in Qatar. So, you know, that's usually a sign that they know they're not going to be here in power for much longer, but they're hiding all the money.
Well, no, actually, what happened with Qatar is that you heard what happened with Qatar, right? You know why the money was given to Qatar, right?
Well, yeah,
It wasn't to pocket the money. It was so that it could be funneled to Iran to have the Strait open for Qatari vessels, oil vessels, right?
cute.
That's what they did it for. If you noticed, right, since that money had started flowing to Qatar, Qatar hadn't been attacked at all. Okay?
That's
They
true.
hadn't been attacked at all, right? Because they were paying Iran, right, to have their ships be able to traverse the Strait of Hormuz, and they were being paid by the United States. This is how fucked up we are, right?
Yeah,
And this is how bad the propaganda is the fact that we are spending money hand over fist, right, for a war while doing the same thing we were doing with Iran Contra, right? And nobody gives a shit. Nobody gives a shit.
well,
This is it.
I
We
don't think it's
continuously do this same shit. We just want to spend money on the military industrial complex. Fuck Americans. That's what
right.
these people believe. And until people wake the fuck up and realize this isn't about electing right versus left or Democrat versus Republican, that it's top versus bottom, this is going to continue.
That's it. That's it, folks. And that's just as I don't think it's a matter that people don't care. I know there's a lot of people that just check out of politics because they can't handle it, but I think a lot of this there are two different streams of information, right? If you're getting your information from anything having to do with the right, anything in mainstream media, anything from Fox News, you are getting a completely different narrative than what anybody who isn't looking at that is getting, or anybody. And then the rest of us get a different side of the story, and then we go out to maybe some international news, and then that's where you might find some truth of what's going on. Like we don't have truth in this country, and it's absolutely despicable. I said last week that if I, you know, if I was in Congress, I was a new congressional person, what my first thing that I would want Congress to work on would be to restore the fairness doctrine so that we could get back to telling the truth and holding news outlets accountable for lying to the public, because that's where this divide is coming from. And this is what the billionaires, the top level people have done, is to fully take control of media and to completely misinform and divide us.
And
That's
if
the
you
that's
don't
the point.
and if you don't think, right, it's all coordinated, look what's happened. Right? We used to have local newspaper here, right? The Times Herald Record. Times Herald Record gets bought out by USA Today and then Dow and you name it, right? Now we have no local news, right?
Yeah,
None. There's no local news. You can't rely on Mid Hudson News. Mid Hudson News is right wing propaganda,
it's right wing
right?
proc, but
You
yeah.
can't right. You can't rely on local news. There is no local news, right? Every once in a while, maybe the Times Union publishes an article, right? But they're more of an Albany paper,
Yeah.
okay? You know, there is no local news here. So we do try to go around and try to find local news for you guys. But there's nobody giving local commentary anymore. There's nobody who's decided that they're going to do investigative journalism. Like you think about what's happened here in the town of Waukegan, right? The failures here in the town of Waukegan really stem not only from bad management, right? But also the failure of local news to report
To
and
hold them
ask questions
accountable.
and hold them accountable, which is what the fourth estate is supposed to be, right? That's supposed to be your media, and it's nowhere in this country. It's not here at the local level. It's not here at the state level. If you look at the media you get on TV, they're recycling. Every station is recycling the same 5 stories. Every station,
Yeah, word
and
for
if you
word.
don't, and if you don't think that that's coordinated, right, in violation of antitrust laws, you're fucking kidding yourselves, right? These people don't fucking care anymore. Laws don't matter. All they care about is power and money. And they're going to get both. And they're going to get it from you. Just watch, right? When your pension fund drops in the next month, okay, as a result of Elon Musk, and you realize that Musk took your money, okay, to become a trillionaire and screwed your pension, right?
I was going to bring
Don't
that
come
up.
crying to me. Don't come crying to Democrats saying, oh my God, my pension. We warned you that this was going to happen. The
He just
politicians didn't care because you didn't vote properly, because you
right.
keep voting for this shit.
Yeah,
Right?
it's voting against your own interest, and I wanted to, just point that out because, I heard today that the just as we all thought, the stock is tanked. It opened at 225 last Monday. By Friday, it was down to 185, and now I think it's much lower. But I didn't get to see what it closed at today or yesterday, but it dropped even lower. So just to understand, that IPO came out, and a lot of maybe your pensions bought into it at $225 a share, and now it's I'm not going to look right now, but because I don't know what the symbol is, but it's got to be. It was 185 on Friday, and I heard it came down lower. So if it's 175 now, that's a $50 per share loss. And if your, let's say, mutual fund bought 1,000,000 shares, right? That's what is that? That's a $75 million loss. Oh, here, wait, I got a message here. Let's see.
Knitter said it was a pump and dump scheme,
Yes. Yeah,
which
and
it
you
was.
say, which
Yeah,
is exactly what you said.
I said that at our last thing, that it was a pump and dump scheme, and that's just that. Listen, if you didn't see what's been happening in the last few months, right?
But we have no
with
SEC.
with the manipulation of the market, right? Here's the thing. When Trump and these billionaires are manipulating the market, they are stealing from everybody. Like, you have to understand that manipulation of the market means that we who don't have that information are being robbed. You are
Yeah.
being robbed, right? Like, this is what I don't get. When your finances are managed poorly, you are being robbed. Okay? When somebody goes into the marketplace with information that you don't have, you're being robbed. Like, I
Yeah.
don't get it. You're okay with being like if somebody robs a bank, you're like, get that person, right? If somebody robs that woman in a parking lot, in a ShopRite parking lot, you're like, throw that degenerate in jail, you know. But these fuckers, they rob you in the stock market, they rob you with your tax dollars, and yet somehow the idea is, oh well, that's okay. They're billionaires, and that's okay. We're okay with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. So yeah, so folks,
156. Yeah.
oh, so let
SpaceX
me
closed at 156 today. Thank you, Marty.
156. Thank you. I was going to say I thought it was closer to 150. That is insane. So for all those so can you just define for some of those who are watching who might not know what pump and dump scheme means?
That means that you go to the market, okay? So let's say you have 100 shares, right, of stock in a private company, and you want to exit. You want to get your money back, okay? But you have no way, if it's a private company, to get your money back. So what you do is you issue a public offering, right? Now, if you have the money Musk does, you get your friends in the banking industry, okay, to say that the valuation is higher than it really is, okay? And you get your friends in the exchanges to index that for you, okay? Even though it shouldn't be. Change the rules, let's index it, okay? So when you enter the marketplace, okay, you are then, just as we saw with Musk, right? You get to exit at $220 a share, let's just say, right? And then it immediately goes down because the valuation was never there, you
Right,
know?
right.
So
So
everybody is selling. So then you end up with more sellers in the marketplace than you have buyers, which drives the price down. Okay. And the reason that you'd index it is because average buyers don't necessarily like they may understand that this is a pump and dump scheme. I may not want to get in at 220, but if it's indexed, that means every mutual fund, every pension fund, everybody who owns that index is required to buy that stock,
think
whether they
about
want
that.
to or not. Okay? So now all of a sudden you have a a stock entering the market which is valued too high to begin with, now being bought by pension funds, okay?
At the top of
Right? Because it's
the
at the
pile.
top of, at the top of the
The
dollar amount,
valuation. Yeah, the
top
top of the
valuation,
valuation.
right? And then they're the ones that take the losses. You took the loss so that Musk could become a trillionaire, right? Think about that. Think about that. Think about the fact that that Trump negotiated a deal to send $300,000 of your tax dollars, okay, to Iran, right? Meanwhile, Musk becomes a trillionaire. And if he were to pay more taxes, if he were to give 300 billion dollars to Iran, he could still give 300 billion dollars to Iran and still be a multi-billionaire.
It's
He would
sick.
still be a multi-billionaire, right? So think about that. You making your 50, $60,000 a year or whatever it is, right? Have to pay the 300,000 to Iran so that Musk can remain a trillionaire. Just remember that. That's exactly what Trump and his buddies, his billionaire buddies, Peter Thiel, Larry Ellison, right, are all telling you. You have to pay whatever money is being negotiated by the billionaires, you're going to have to pay.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's what happened. Basically, they my understanding of the pump and dump is they hype the stock up. They get it hype so that they can
Yeah,
get as high of a valuation as possible, and then they short it and ride it all the way down.
right. And
Yeah.
and so this is exactly what they're doing with AI, right? Oh, you should invest
Yes.
in Microsoft. You should invest in um uh whatever the microchip company. You should invest in Oracle, right? All these companies that are invested in AI. Why do they want you to invest? So that they can get the hell out, because
Hell
they know
yeah.
that AI is full of shit, and then it's going to go down. It's going to tank the marketplace. Michael Berry is shorting the AI, right? Because he knows it's going to tank, right? That the valuations are too high. Okay. So the billionaires, if you notice, the billionaires love to hype up shit when they want you to buy so that they can exit, right? They want you to be there. They want you to spend your money to bail them out every fucking time. Every time a bailout is needed for the billionaires, it's us that has to bail them out. And we
Right.
keep doing it. We keep doing it because we keep electing assholes that want to bail them out,
That enable it. Yeah. So
that
guys,
enable it. Right.
as we've said many times here, capitalism for the wealth, for the I'm sorry, yeah, capitalism for the wealth,
Socialism for the billionaires, right?
or
And
socialize the losses,
social,
the debt.
right, we're socializing the losses, right, and privatizing the profits, right.
Right, for them. Privatize the profits for them,
Yeah.
socialize the debt for the rest of us. So speaking of which, before we go, I'm going
I
to
know,
pull this
sorry.
up. We got to show this to
It was a
you.
good show. It was a good show.
Well, I think everybody should just know. Come here. Would you connect, please? There it
And
is. Oh,
I was
it
told
went
to
up.
relax. What went
Oh
up?
my God, it went up again. All right, I'm going to share my screen. Um, so you can
All
see
right,
what.
so in other words, you're about to leave us.
Yeah, no, there we go. No, I'm not using a background. So, folks, let me come back here. So,
39 trillion.
yeah, it went up $100 billion from like 2 days ago. So Neil and I have kind of monitored, kind of watched the national debt to see what's going on, and it broke 39 trillion. It had broken 39 trillion in March. It came back and it just stayed at 38.9 for like a month and a half, 2 months, and then earlier this month they broke 339, and it's climbing. It's already 39.3. 39
So
trillion, 324 billion, etc. And I'll give you the per person because you always like this part.
well,
Yeah,
because I think that that's the only thing that matters to people. Like 39 trillion is like a number that people don't understand, and the it just goes right over their head. That's why I say, like, we should focus on per person. Send your $115,000 to Donald Trump, the billionaire, and all the billionaires, because that's the money you owe, because they ain't paying it. And they've said a million times that I don't understand. Like, they keep telling you, we are not paying one dime more in taxes. Yet we are the ones that have to we are the ones that are okay with paying more taxes, and we vote for the people who are going to reduce their taxes and tax us more. I don't get it. I really just don't get it,
yeah,
you know?
and yep, and you know what? Let me see. Let me stop sharing that. Um, yeah, that's $115,218 for every single person living in America today. That's what would need to be. We'd all need to come up with if we all collectively wanted to pay that debt off right away. Every single person would have to come up with $115,218 to get rid of that. So that should tell you just how high that is when we have a population of what, 340 million people here. So, but just to make sure you're alert as to what's happening, was last week or the week before. Our buddy MAGA Mike Johnson was on a podcast. It was an audio only podcast, and he came out and said that in order to get this debt out of control, they're going to have to start making changes to Social Security and Medicare. Just remember that Donald Trump promised not to touch any of that. And he's already blown through that, but now they're coming for your Social Security. And for everybody that watches this that knows me personally, I fucking warned you this was going to happen. And here it is. So they have a plan starting next year because they don't have the numbers. They don't have the people in Congress to really take apart Social Security.
No, they're going to have the numbers because Democrats will vote with them.
I hope
Because
not.
that's what, because you have corporate Democrats, the APAC
Yeah,
run
that's true.
Democrats, right? That will vote with them. We have to get rid of these people.
Yeah,
We have to get rid of these people. These people are cancer. Okay?
absolutely.
No offense to anybody who loves Chuck Schumer and Kristen Gillibrand. They are a cancer. They need to go. Both of
Oh
them
my
need to
God,
go.
yeah.
All right? Because Schumer will absolutely cut Social Security. Without a doubt. I have absolutely no doubt that he will allow Social Security to be cut. Okay? He can't be the leader. He needs to go. All of these people need to go, right? They've
And
all been bought and paid for. We need to start looking at bank accounts and understand like who needs to stay and who needs to go.
absolutely. Yeah, who's being paid by the billionaires, by the PAC money, by the foreign PAC money. Israel, Russia, they all put money into our politics. And this is our politics, this is our fucking country. You know? So
America
yeah,
first, right? America first. Yeah. Full of
whatever
shit.
happened to that?
All full of shit. You're all full of shit. You're all
Yeah.
full of shit. That's all I'm going to say is everybody's full of shit because absolutely I've not heard anybody say that they are America first, right? They love the slogan, right? But their actions not even remotely close.
Not
Okay?
even remotely
Not
close.
even
Yep.
remotely close, especially when I hear comments about Tellurico and AOC. And these people are more American than fucking anybody else. And I don't want to fucking hear it. I'm
Yeah.
tired of hearing
Graham
about it.
Plattner. Graham Plattner. Listen to what he's saying. He has a working class message for those of us in the working class.
But they all have it. El Sayed in Michigan has a working. Afton Bain in Tennessee had a working class message. Kata Ghazale in Chicago had a working class message. Right.
Mamdani does.
Sherrod Brown had a working class message. Right. Like these people all had working class messages. Okay.
So,
Why are people not backing them? Right. Like
because
stop with the PACs. Stop listening to the bullshit and start using your brain. You were given a
well,
brain.
that's the
Start
okay.
thinking.
So I think that's really what it is because they have put so much money. They are buying advertising. They're buying time on. They've got podcasters that are on the payroll whose job it is to absolutely disparage progressive candidates who are not taking PAC money, who count only on grassroots money. These are the people you need to be looking at. Are people who are in the grassroots. They're they're working class people like the rest of us, and they know what we have to deal with on a daily basis. People who are collecting PAC money, corporate money, they are beholding to their donors. Even if they don't want to be, they are, and they end up fucking caving. And we're seeing that. We're seeing that on seeing that they've completely turned their backs on the people. They stopped doing town halls. Everything they literally took healthcare away from millions of people last July. And come January 1st, the worst part of that bill goes into effect. You're going to see it's going to be a lot worse than it was to begin with. So folks, I just want you both of us want you to be aware. Look at your candidates. There's still more primaries going on. Take a look at see where they get their funding from and choose and really listen to the message. Don't listen to the propaganda. And if they're coming in and saying, that person's bad. You're like, look at the stuff they're coming up with Tallarico. Like being a vegan is somehow a grounds for not running as a candidate versus policies. Talks about his stance on education, on housing costs, on food costs. That's what you need to be listening to, not whether or not they're trans. I mean, they're making shit up as they're going along, and some people just fall for it. Don't fall
And
for it.
and just remember, a sign or a slogan or a TV ad that says "women for" or "this for" or "police for" or whatever, right? Somebody else is paying for that shit, right? It doesn't mean it's fucking true.
Yeah,
Okay? Again, use your brain. Use your brain. And if you have a question of whether that person believes what you believe, contact their office. Ask.
that's
Okay?
good. Yeah,
I can tell you, I'm on Facebook. I comment all the time, and I get answers back from staffers and you name it, and they answer me back, and I'm like, okay. And listen, if you don't like the answer, then vote differently. You're not obligated to vote for Democrat or Republican. Okay, just remember that. Okay, there are more unaffiliated voters in almost every district than there are Democrats or Republicans. You outnumber them. Start using it. Start showing, right? Don't just not vote. Vote for somebody else,
yeah,
right? Vote for the outsider. Vote for the candidate who's willing to fight for you. Okay?
yeah. That's absolutely right. So, folks, it's we ran over our hour,
Yes, we
which we
did.
usually do. First of all, I want to thank everyone for your engagement, for your comments. Just love it. I really enjoy these live streams because it gives us a chance to really communicate directly with our followers versus catching a comment later on. It's nice to do it in real time. So thank you for being on here and commenting with us. We mean that. We've gotten some new followers both on TOWTalk, and we're starting. We got a few followers on the Daily Gripe. Would be great if you would check us out there. I've got another video that I'm going to be putting up that you could watch, and definitely like, share, tell your friends about us. All right, we love you guys, and we are going to be bringing more content in the future. Obviously, if you have any questions, just drop them in the comments. And now YouTube has a chat feature, so you can send us a message through that as well. All right, guys, we love you, and we will see you soon. All right, take care, guys.
Peace out.
That was great.